Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode number 149. We're almost there to 150. One more episode to 150. Crazy that almost 3 years worth of shows, but over 3 years in time, actually, doing Xbox Ultimate. But 150 will be pretty cool. But we're at 149 right now. And it was a pretty good day for Xbox. If you are a Final Fantasy fan, if you like JRPGs, if you've been wondering what the hell is going on with Square Enix and Xbox, well, Phil made some things happen today, and it's pretty interesting. So we're gonna get into that and talk about some other stuff as well. But we're a little short-handed tonight. Pong Soul is got some stuff going on, so he's not gonna be here. Psycho is most likely getting high at a Dave Matthews Band concert right now. He's sent me a picture earlier that I'm just gonna keep forever. And it's just typical Psycho at some kind of music outside event, and it's great. You guys will see that sometime. But I hope you all are having a great day. Shout out to the chat. We already got 50 people here hanging out, ready to get going for the show. If you do like our content on Fun Speculation, make sure to hit that like button, share it out, sub to the channel, notification bell, all that cool stuff. We are approaching 4K. I think we're only about roughly 60 subs away from 4K, so that'd be nice to get a little push to get there. The more subs you have, sometimes YouTube pushes your content a little bit more, and it helps people discover you. So appreciate any of the help with that. Anybody that's not subbed that watches our content, appreciate you. But if you hit that button, it greatly helps, and you're awesome anyway, even if you don't. But let's get to the panel today. This is a lot like an FSP panel right now, but minus Psycho and 3-bit. But what's up to Jasper first? What's up, Jasper?
Doing pretty good. I'm probably gonna have to restart a Remnant character because I didn't get the camo or the armor you're supposed to get for beating the game, so I got to replay it so I can get the last subclass. So it's gonna be some work, but it's all right.
Ooh.
So that's what I've been up to, just working on Remnant.
Yeah, y'all have been addicted to that game, bro. Which is cool. You know, it's a good game. A little hard for me, but it's okay. How you doing, Fuzz?
I'm pretty good. Been actually off Twitter most of today, or the social media
Off of X.
X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, I just got my update today
just,
for that. It says X on my phone now.
Oh, it's on your phone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think does it say Twitter on my phone still, or is the bird gone?
No, the URL still says Twitter, but it's the X logo all around.
I still got the birds on my phone. I'll have to update it later so I can get that fancy new X logo. Yeah, that's great.
No, but been off Twitter, mainly playing Diablo. Kind of half listened to the fireside chat. Was playing while they were going on, and listened to, was it Ginger Gaming or something like that while he was streaming, just half listening to that while I was playing. So heard some of the buffs, some of the nerfs, but I guess it's not until the 8th or so before the patch note. So I guess, I don't know. It seemed like a weird, delay or gap in time, but it is what it is. Played a little bit of Forza, got some cars for this current week. Some of Division 2, already got all the clothing for this clothing event as it's ending, or it's already ended as of Tuesday. And other than that, that's about it. But the little bit I saw on Twitter or X today, people saying Xbox should sell to Apple, which
that would first off that would never happen.
No,
out of the companies that Xbox, if Microsoft would not ever sell Xbox, most likely, but even if they ever did, it wouldn't go to Apple or Google.
No.
That's for damn sure, right?
Yeah.
But I saw some of that going around. I got tagged in some stuff. People like, "What do you think about this?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe his heart's in the right place, but but it's just not something I could ever see happening." And the main reason, Fuzz, is Xbox is buying ABK most notably for the mobile side, and which is to help compete against Apple and Google's duopoly of the mobile storefront space, right?
I mean, that would be like GM selling Chevrolet over to Ford. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, it's just not a thing that makes any sense whatsoever. But
Hey,
PlayStation
Final
on the
Fantasy
other hand,
14.
PlayStation on the other hand, and plus I think it'd be hard for Apple or Google or any of those to get by with purchasing a whole gaming division right now, especially with what it would mean for the mobile side for them, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, interesting, interesting thoughts out there today on X. It's so weird saying that. I don't. Can we always call it Twitter?
I'm going to keep on
Sure.
calling it Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, kind of
Yeah.
like the way Prince was a symbol, but formerly known as Prince. I think this is it. I don't know that it deserves it, but it's kind of along those same lines at this point. Like Elon is just, I think next week, I mean, they're already doing away with light mode, which thank goodness for that. But outside of that, I don't know what else to expect. Maybe you can only, like, in a month or so, it'll be like you can only post threads with emojis. That'll be the next new rule that he throws up there. It just seems like, oh, let's throw something at the fan and see what sticks, kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
but that's something else. I don't know, but
Yeah.
good overall. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Thanks, Buzz. I have my camera. This has been a discussion going on ever since my new setup with my new PC. I my camera, I have it situated now. I had to do some finagling, but I got it situated similarly to where it was before. So I hope you guys like where the camera is. Besides that, also I'm still tweaking on getting other things with the setup right. It's an ongoing process. Like you can see on the overlay right now, I don't have the scroll going with the with all the channel members and all that kind of stuff. I will get that back up and running at some point. But appreciate you all for the patience while we get all the bugs out of the new setup stuff. So besides that, guys, yeah, we had some news today. It was a pretty big news day on a Friday for Xbox. Usually Fridays are reserved for bad news, but I guess if you're in the land of Japan, maybe Fridays are full of good news, because today we got a little bit of news regarding Final Fantasy XIV, which a long time ago was said that they were going to bring it to Xbox one day, and that day never came. Xbox fans waited patiently, never saw Final Fantasy XIV Online come to Xbox. Then we have to go and see Final Fantasy VII Remake as an exclusive to PlayStation. Then we have to go see Final Fantasy XVI as an exclusive, at least timed, to PlayStation. Final Fantasy Remake Part 2 is a exclusive, at least timed, to PlayStation as well. But today might be the dawn of new things, because after the end of this presentation where they officially announced Final Fantasy XIV Online is coming to Xbox consoles in, I think, March of next year, or around, or early 2024 roughly. They also said, Phil said, that this is maybe a moment that will spark potentially new Square Enix games coming to Xbox in the future, and hopefully Final Fantasy as well. So this might be a little bit of shifting of tides with the new CEO that was appointed there at Square Enix, which happened a little over a month ago. And we kind of speculated, what does that mean, right? We knew that this guy supposedly liked money more in the past, but he also was like into NFTs and stuff. So we're kind of speculating. Well, some people are out there, including Jess Corden from Windows Central. I saw him put out on Twitter that this new CEO might have had a good hand in actually allowing this to happen. So maybe this new CEO has better business sense and doesn't want to isolate an entire ecosystem from their games, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm not a huge MMO guy. The last one I played was actually Final Fantasy XI Online on Xbox 360, and I played quite a bit of it, and it felt like a full-time job. So I stopped playing it, but this,
Well, you've been playing Diablo and it's MMO light.
and it's MMO light, but it's not like you can do it a lot on. The thing with Final Fantasy XI was like, okay, it took you like hours to get anywhere to even be able to accomplish anything. Then you had to try and get teamed up with a bunch of people and all that kind of stuff. It was like, it was kind of a chore, but it was a great game. I haven't played Final Fantasy XIV at all. Mainly because the MMO thing isn't really my bag. But maybe I'll give this a go. Right, coming to Xbox finally, and there's a lot of free content. They're adding some extra content to the free version as well, which I saw the last expansion that had come out, I believe, is being added to there. So is anybody here on this panel right now actually going to play this game?
Don't care. This was like big news for Twitter, and I'm just like, I don't care. So I mean, I've never played Final Fantasy. Just
You never played any of them?
No.
Really? You've never played a Final Fantasy game?
Just they were at fucking 9 when I was born, and they still keep fucking going. Well, and I'm like, where do I jump in?
It's not like a continuing story or anything. So, I mean, you can go back to like. See, the thing is, like, it's hard to say go back and play the original 7 now because it does. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but I don't know if it like holds up to like today's standards of gaming. But Final Fantasy VII remake might be worth diving into, Jasper. In fact,
I'm all right.
If you were to dive in to any point of Final Fantasy, I would say dive into that. Because it's kind of a new but old.
The only 2 games that Square makes that I care about now is Dragon Quest Builders 2 or 3, I guess if they make a third one, and Forspoken 2 if they make a second one of that. That's the only 2 games that they make that I care about. Other than that, they can make whatever, and I'm like, whatever.
Jay Lewis says, "I'm popping. I'm getting a popping noise."
Yeah, I put it in Zoom chat, but
man, this is like, I've been struggling with the audio stuff on this for a little while, so I'll try and not.
I don't know if your cord's like slightly unplugged or whatever.
No,
but
I think it's just the new setup, and like I have to hook all this stuff up to the new PC and setting all the sound up. I got all these things running, and I got to rebalance it all. I just kind of plugged it in and hoped for the best and kind of tweaked it. I think I got to just like start from scratch because it's not a different motherboard, I guess, right? Maybe it does sound differently. I don't know. So I'll try and not talk super high or whatever. Anyway, Fuzz, Final Fantasy.
Probably not. Like I think pretty much the only Final Fantasy I really played was 15 when it was on Game Pass a couple of years ago. I mean, it's great that we finally get this on Xbox. I know before the controversy was something along the lines of like their updating time frame. I think Xbox usually has it where to update a game, you need to submit it at least 2 weeks in advance before the updates go through. Final Fantasy or the directors there wanted it where it should be able to be done within a week or the same day even. And I think the compromise was like a 1 week at worst, or at most a 1 week notice. So that way they could, get the game on there. But that was the last we heard, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, there has been games that have got away with that. Like I know back in the day, Defiance on the 360. For those that don't, Defiance like 2055, where the fuck it was called, it was an MMO, but like you downloaded the game and then it had like a separate download in game that would download all the like MMO updates.
Yeah.
So it was like they kind of got around that without having to submit stuff to Xbox.
Mm-hmm. But I think that was like the sticking point supposedly a while back. But considering like you said, other games were doing, client side and back end stuff different ways, I couldn't see why they couldn't do it. But, good news today. Hopefully it leads to a lot of other Final Fantasies or a lot of other Square Enix properties coming over. But I'm not going to hold my breath, but, it's a start. Let's just put it that way. It's a start. Kind of wondering now if some of those rumors people are saying about Xbox going petty and be like, they might just buy Square right underneath Sony's nose.
Yeah,
So
is
we'll
this
see how that goes. But
potentially the start of wanting to strengthen that
You're
relationship?
super low now.
Now I'm super low. Jeez. All right, is that better? That should be
still
better.
low.
Still low?
Yeah,
Okay. Is that better? Is that
Yeah,
better? Okay.
a little
yeah.
bit. Yeah.
This is so stupid. Man, I'm gonna have to like spend like
Poppins.
a
Yeah.
couple hours in here. But anyway, is this like the start of them kind of working with Square to strengthen that relationship a little bit to prepare for something like that? Because I think most of us assume they may try and acquire a Japanese publisher.
Mhm.
And is it going to be Square Enix? Is it going to be Sega? Um, could they make a move for Bandai Namco or Capcom? Uh, then there's studios like From Software. You know,
Mhm.
you never know what they're gonna do, but I think whatever they want to do in the East is not just gonna be like a slight subtle move, right?
Yeah.
And seeing Phil on stage with Square talking about the start of something, I mean, it's led to some speculation about maybe that's where they want to go. And that would also, if you look at across the board of the biggest impact to Xbox versus what they don't have now,
Mhm.
that would make the biggest impact as far as
Yeah.
making sure those games stay on Xbox because they have not been doing that before. And apparently now this new CEO, according to Aaron Greenberg, who actually praised Phil Spencer, um, was working hand in hand with Phil to make this happen. Right? If I can find that tweet real quick, I want to read it. This tweet from Aaron says, "Kudos to Phil Son, aka Gamer, who personally worked with the Final Fantasy XIV producer director Yoshi P and Square Enix CEO Kiryu San to make this happen. Final Fantasy XIV coming to Xbox Series XS with faster loading in 4K on X, putting gamers first with crossplay, and partnering on future games to Xbox." So that's partnering on future games to Xbox, which for me, a lot of times when you talk about Xbox and partnering with them, a lot of times that kind of, I'm not going to say it guarantees Game Pass, but a lot of their partnership deals they've been making, including Sega, have involved Game Pass. We saw
Mhm.
Persona, games come to Game Pass. All the Yakuza games come to Game Pass. You saw Total War Warhammer 3 come to Game Pass. Even things like um, the Two Point Hospital or Two Point Campus, whatever the new one that came out as a Sega published game, came day one to Game Pass. Now you see there's lots of other smaller publishers that are announcing deals with Xbox and partnership deals to bring games to Game Pass. I'm wondering if potentially, if nothing else, if this potential future partnership or whatever involves Game Pass in some way.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking not that necessarily like Microsoft's buying Square Enix, but more so it's just a partnership that they've done with like similar companies like Paradox. We've seen it with Capcom right now, where we got Exo Primal and we get other games in Game Pass. I think it's more just, hey, we'll sign the contract. You give us like 3 games that you're coming out, your next 3 games in Game Pass or whatever, just like something like that. Um, I don't necessarily see this as them buying Square. For me, it's just I think Microsoft's gonna if they buy someone, it's gonna be someone no one's talking about. They're gonna go big and just be like out of the blue, like someone like you're not even thinking of.
Like who? Like I mean, granted, nobody was thinking of Activision Blizzard.
True.
Like I'm talking like maybe like Bandai Namco. Like people like kind of throw that around, but it's not super serious. But like maybe it's Bandai Namco. Like everyone's throwing Square and Sega in that conversation. Like
Or even
someone like
Capcom.
totally out there. Yeah.
Bandai Namco publishes a lot of the From Software games as well. I don't know. I'm wondering. I'm assuming From Software retains the rights to those games. I'm not
Mhm.
sure, but besides that, I mean, Bandai Namco would be pretty crazy, and nobody's suggesting it as well. But you're talking about filling a lot of needs with something like that because they got the JRPGs, they have fighting games, you know. They kind of run the gamut on a lot of different stuff that fills the holes for Xbox, and plus they're really is strong as a company right now. So if you were to make a move, that one I could see that. But do you see Square this partnership growing into something like that? There's been people saying that Xbox wanted to buy Square for a long time now, Fuzz.
Yeah. Well, remember we talked about it before with them having a nice or a big presence in the mobile space, and that's a focus now for Microsoft as far as gaming is concerned. So that definitely puts them on their radar. It's an area that they're more gung ho for right at this moment as far as building that mobile store, mobile app for future stuff. So that would put them in a much better position. Not saying that Sega doesn't have mobile games, not saying that Capcom doesn't have mobile games, but to my understanding, Square is like the leader on the east side of things. They're probably more along the lines of like a King or Zynga or something like that, but for the east when it comes to mobile. So they're definitely on that radar, but I think a lot of us, especially those that grew up with Sega, still want Sega. Capcom, they tried. There were rumors that they tried Capcom a while back, but that was when Capcom was in a dire financial state. Prior to them learning that doing remakes of things that people want would bring them back on top. But I don't think they would now want to sell, let's say. But then again, who would have thought Activision would want to sell, even with the downturn that they had? They it looks like a company that would be able to bounce back, but I guess they figure it's probably better to cash out than ride the wave and see the legal or the litigation possibly dwindle the stock price even further. But somebody like Capcom, they're like already high on the hog with their Resident Evil remakes, and Street Fighter's doing rather well. Not as well as I would probably hope, but doing well enough for them. And so are a lot of their other titles as far as smaller ones, even Exo Primal, even though it's not breaking any sales records, but it's got that engagement. It's not on life support like the one game that Platinum Games made not too long ago, that something Fallen or what was that thing called? Babylon's Fall or something.
Yeah.
Babylon's ass. It was that game was so bad that they shut the servers down after a year, and
I don't even think it was a year. Was it? Was it like 6 months
they
or less?
announced it 6 months in, but they said that at the end of the year, right? Like
Okay.
we'll shut it
Yeah.
down. So it went from like January to January, I think, something
Mhm.
crazy. And that was a $70 game, and that one was famously like there was one person playing on Steam at some point,
Yeah.
like a month after the game came out, and then the person was like, "Hey, it's me." So, um, it's just I'm wondering if this new CEO at the minimum is somebody that doesn't see as much value in doing the exclusivity deals
Mhm.
as well. I've argued against that for a while, for especially from the big third party multi plat publishers, right? It doesn't make as much sense from them. Like if you're a smaller publisher, smaller team, a lot of times you need that funding, to help make a game, and you're trying to find a partner, and then you don't have a lot of resources, so you kind of develop for whatever you get the funding for. But like these big time publishers like a Square Enix, Bandai Namco, or like a Sega, or like a EA, or all those kind of things. It doesn't make sense for me when you have these big IPs to sign exclusivity deals for them just as a straight business um, decision, because what you're doing is you're diminishing the reach of your IPs and potentially damaging the popularity of them over time, right? Like the
Well,
less
we've seen that
people
from Square. They always come out and be like, "This game underperformed. We lost $30 million on this game or whatever." It's like it's only on
Exactly.
PlayStation. It's
Yeah,
like
well, it's like exactly, and then not only that, but over time, the detrimental effects when you have game after game after game do that, you have a whole audience of people that only play on one platform just stop giving a shit about your games because they've been gone for a decade, right? And all of a sudden, now your property, your IP that used to be one of the biggest, most valuable in gaming, no longer holds the same relevance that it used to, and that's their own doing. You know what I mean? It's not like the old days where, you had just like a PlayStation or a Nintendo, and and like those were, you could see certain games different on machines based on capability. When you have two machines that are equally capable, like those kind of games really should be on those platforms. And I never really understood the the business decision that Square Enix made, especially when they complain about them time and time again, right? So maybe the CEO sees that and has more of a long-term vision instead of just quick cash grabs to fund whatever they're working on currently. And that, like, hey, we need some money. Let's get this deal. You
Yeah, that
know,
makes me wonder if they're going to go to like whenever Sony comes back to the negotiation table with their next like exclusive thing, Square's going to be like, we want 6 months exclusivity, and then after that 6 months, they can just drop it in Game Pass. Like if they have like the balls to actually counter negotiate against Sony, like they can get some amazing deals out of both companies.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's true, and especially because Xbox doesn't ask for exclusivity a lot on those Game Pass deals. They just want the games in Game Pass, and don't restrict you from releasing those games on other platforms, right? So when they're doing those deals, like if you're Square, you're like, okay, well, we can still sell a shit ton on PlayStation, but we do Xbox marketing and put the game in Game Pass, where we weren't thinking we were going to get a whole lot of sales anyway, maybe a million or two, as opposed to 4 or 5 on PlayStation. Well, in that regard, now we potentially have 30 million players that might try our game, especially if it's a big title,
And if it has
and
microtransactions,
you get
it's
money
like,
up front, and you can still sell to all the PlayStation players you were going to sell to anyway,
Mhm.
right? So like it's just a lot of that, and plus you get the upfront money from Xbox,
Yep.
right? And
So that usually covers your production costs and things like that.
yeah,
So
but plus you're fostering more excitement for potential fans of the brand that you're promoting for the future games that you have as well, right? So Game Pass has a lot of value, I think, with that, and it's going to be interesting to see what comes over time as the more subscriptions
yeah.
roll in
And
all
Game
that.
Pass is about to be at 100 million players, so
Yeah, and it's going to get more expensive for PlayStation to buy that exclusivity because of that as well, right? So that's the other effect, especially after ABK. I mean, the ABK has a huge effect on this too. I think with ABK, all of a sudden, more people are like subscribing to Game Pass or getting, um, Xboxes and in that ecosystem where it becomes more normalized. As opposed to like the second option or the third option for a lot of people. Like, well, this is the place for Call of Duty. This is the place for all these other things in the Game Pass, and now I get potentially a Final Fantasy game in there or whatever. But who knows what's going to happen? It's interesting to see though. But this is definitely um, a move forward that came out of nowhere today.
I
I
mean,
don't think anybody saw
that
this.
game makes the most sense out of all of them to come because it's the MMO and it's like it's been going on for years and has so many microtransactions in it that people buy. Like it's just a money printer for them, and it's limited because it's only on certain
Yeah,
platforms.
which is ridiculous. Why they never put it on Xbox like a long time ago? It's just, and I don't. Supposedly there wasn't a deal preventing that. Before maybe there was. I'm not sure. Or maybe that came out in the court documents. If somebody in the chat could let me know, but like I think it was just a decision from the CEO and lack of interest, right? Just
Mhm.
dumb business. And we see this time and time again from certain publishers, and those same publishers are the ones that their market share has plummeted, right? So maybe this is hopefully a rebound for Square as well, and a sign of hopefully good things to come. None of us are I might play it, and try and get into it because I really do like those games. I loved Final Fantasy XI. I know I would love Final Fantasy XIV. My issue is time,
Mhm.
and if it's anything like 11, if anybody in the chat can tell me if 14 requires the same time commitment that 11 did, I can't do it. I just don't have the time, right? But I wish I did. If it could be like the one game you play, you know. Um, but besides that, finally, and now this has also set off a little bit of salt. Some people aren't happy about this. Um, PlayStation diehards and people that have been relishing in the exclusivity of these JRPGs for some reason just can't fathom this game that it's not even theirs going to Xbox. It's very weird, man. Why is there some salt out there? Why are people sad that other people or mad that other people get to play the game?
They're like the kid in the schoolyard that's taking the ball and going home kind of thing. I don't get
Yeah.
it either, but
Telling
I don't
the toddler that you got to share your toys.
know.
You got
Kicking
to
and screaming
share.
in the center of the aisle.
Can't we just split the sandbox in half and I take this half, you take that half?
Yeah. Well,
No, that makes too much sense.
but that little fuck over there wants 70% of the sandbox, right? He doesn't want half. He wants 70, 80% of the sandbox, and he wants little Xbox guy to have the other 30%. You get what you get, okay? And I think it's trying to even that out or say, oh, we can all play equally. If if we can play, or what is the Xbox slogan, or like if we all play, we all win, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joke's on them. I don't even want their fucking sandbox.
I wonder what PlayStation's slogan would be, the opposite of that. Like, if I play, I win. That's kind of the energy we get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting news, man. Final Fantasy 16. Will we see it actually end up coming to Xbox now, unlike Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 1?
You get Final Fantasy VII remakes when all of them are out for like a year.
Which will be for a
Probably,
while,
yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
like, what about 16? Because 16 was supposed to be like a year or 6 months to a year timed exclusive, but people were speculating, well, it's PlayStation, they're just going to extend that.
I think
Yeah.
that all depends on if they've even started working on it. If they haven't started working on an Xbox port, then it's probably going to be a while if we ever get it. If not, then we probably won't get it.
Right. So
I think it comes down to when they do the PC port, because it's still not even on PC yet, is it?
no, it's not. It's only on PlayStation. And I still don't know what the sales are for that game. I don't think it did like horribly, but I'm
No,
curious.
they said 3 mil. I think it was 3 mil out of like, but it only being on PS5. They said it had a strong start with 3 million in sales, out of the 40 million consoles, because that was in the news, I guess today as well. PlayStation sold 40 million PS5s, but
Mhm.
to my understanding, what that game cost, because I think they said it was either 75 mil or 100 mil at a minimum that thing cost them. So they would almost need to sell 8 million copies to kind of break even once you factor in things like marketing and advertising and, for physical copies, storage and shipping and stuff like that. So it's like,
Yeah, IGN made an article. This was last week. 16 sold 3 million copies during the first week. Final Fantasy VII Remake shifted 3.5 million in the first 3 days, and Final Fantasy 15 sold 5 million in the first day. So it's kind of like around there, just a little longer, a month.
Yeah. So I mean, the big difference is for it undersold Remake, and it definitely undersold 15, but 15 was multi-plat.
Yeah.
So you got to wonder if the 2 million potential sales they could have maybe got on Xbox, or 1.5 or whatever, is worth the money that Sony paid for them to make it exclusive. And also the long-term effects that it has on the Xbox brand, right? For me, I would say no. Like 2 million times, what does Square get out of that? They get about 45 to $50 per game, right? If $70, 30% of that Sony would get, so that's take $21 away, right? So that leaves $49. Okay?
Yeah.
$49 times 2 million, easy math, is 98 million, right? That's nearly $100 million. Did Sony pay $100 million or $98 million to Square Enix to keep?
It's probably like, I would say, like, if I had to just guess, like 50 million for marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they probably made their money. They're probably not too disappointed in it.
Chat's still saying my mic's crackling.
Yeah.
Uh, is it like bad?
At times it's like back to
Usually like
back,
a,
but it's all right. It's not too bad.
yeah, it's like usually after the end of a phrase or something kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I might have to like get one of you guys in a Discord party and like really like tinker with this stuff. Anyway, apologize about the cracking, guys. My voice does crack sometimes, even though I'm 40 years old.
Again.
Yeah, but this is my mic, not me. But yeah, I'll fix it. I promise. So yeah, I don't think it'd be worth it. There's no way they paid him $100 million.
No.
I mean, the
Yeah,
the Capcom marketing deal that they had leaked before for Resident Evil 8 marketing, which omitted them from putting the game in Game Pass for a certain amount of time. That was like $5 million, I think. Now this was exclusivity, so it's just different, obviously. But I don't think it would make them pay $100 million.
No, the only thing that I remember being that kind of money was Tomb Raider, I think, was 100 mil for Microsoft. And if I'm not mistaken, and I got to see if I can
Tomb
find a
Raider was
source for
100
this.
mil for Xbox.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that was that
100 mil for 1 year.
was it okay, but was that a multi-game deal or was that per game?
I think that was just
The
for
first one.
the what was it, not the Shadow, because the Shadow was the third
Yeah,
one,
the
whatever the
reboot
second
when
one
Rise
was,
2013 or
Rise.
14. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well,
So I
100
think they
mil for
paid 100.
Tomb Raider. I would say Final Fantasy might cost around that then. So if that cost
The,
$100 million just to make it exclusive,
yeah,
That's why I'm
good
saying like
God.
Square doesn't really care that it comes to Xbox because they get their money from PlayStation marketing anyway. Like,
That's just a waste of money in my opinion. Like
and that's
$100
why
million.
Square's like, we're just gonna lose money porting it to Xbox because that's extra dev time. So it's like, might as well just take the upfront money from Sony because we're guaranteed that whatever money, that's the sales that would be equal on Xbox. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's why they don't care.
But would that
yeah,
like the chat's making a good point? Would that have cost Xbox more than it would have cost PlayStation for exclusivity?
probably.
Right, because the user base was significantly less, right?
Yeah,
Well, the first Tomb Raider wasn't though, because that was like in that was a 360 game, wasn't it originally?
It
it
was
was the beginning
360
of the
Xbox One.
Xbox One.
And that at that time, 360 was still right in par with PlayStation as far as global sales. And remember, at the end of the 360 going to Xbox One generation, a lot of the publishers actually thought Xbox was going to take off and dominate. And Xbox had a lot of deals already with publishers and all that stuff for games that are going to be exclusive on Xbox One in the first couple of years. And then after they saw what happened in the failed marketing and the sales and the higher price point, and all these other things, they all just started abandoning ship and doing deals with PlayStation, right?
Yeah,
So at the time, Xbox was in a different place when that original Tomb Raider deal went down.
yeah.
So it's hard to put it into an equation, I think, now, but that was also a long time ago. So I would think even a deal now would cost more.
Yeah, I think that there was one other big, like not close to 100, well, close to 100 mil, but not quite, was Grand Theft Auto 4. To my understanding, originally PlayStation paid to get an exclusive, and the figure was somewhere in the high 60s, low 70s. And I remember hearing that Microsoft paid 96 million to nix that or something. So I don't know if they both paid, like
Man.
one paid 70 and the other paid 90, so they both got it. But what wound up being the deal was, I think Xbox got, not only did they have what was the one with there was in they got San Andreas, and then I think they got the DLC first as well, the motorcycle club thing and the Ballad of Tony. I think that's what Microsoft got out of the deal as an exclusive, or at least for a timed exclusive of some sort.
This was their 2021 budget. They had $29 million for exclusives. That was PlayStation's 2021 budget. So
How much?
for third party exclusives, $329 million.
Does that include? That's just for third parties.
Yeah, just third party deals for 2021.
Is that funding that for games that would release that year, or for funding new
That
projects?
that was for just 2021 games.
Okay, so I just don't know if that means that's the budget they're allocating for games starting production that they're paying for in 2021, or if games
Or for
releasing in
ones that were
2021.
released. Yeah, that's a tough one. I would assume it's for ones released, but
It said the sum is split between such games as Dark Souls Remake, Returnal, and Sackboy Big Adventures, but I don't know why that would be.
Yeah, those aren't third party though.
Yeah,
You know,
well, Returnal was a third party before.
did they acquire it? So, who made Returnal? Returnal.
Um, I forget the name of that studio, but they eventually acquired them. Like, remember when they said, "Oh, we sold 500,000 copies," and then they were like, "Welcome to PlayStation family," kind of thing.
I
Forget the name.
guess
Right, but they funded the
Sumo
publisher.
Digital, is that part of PlayStation?
No,
Sumo Digital? No.
Yeah, so Sackboy Big Adventures was third party still, even though it's their IP, I guess.
Okay.
yeah,
So they just outsourced third
Just
party
yeah,
developer.
paid them to make the game, I
Right.
guess. Yeah.
I guess you could say that using that budget for that would make sense. I don't know. I'm wondering though, like if if this was like Knights of the Old Republic type deals, you know what I mean? Like, we're gonna pay this. I mean, it also came out. There was some interesting things that happened on Twitter today, regarding Spider-Man,
yeah.
and and Michael Pachter said some stuff, but like then like he tweeted again, and it really is. I don't know. It's a big nothing burger in my opinion. Like, but it kind of was talking about how Square, not Square, how Sony had like basically bought Insomniac to lock up the Spider-Man IP potentially. Whereas originally Spider-Man could have been a multi-plat, but I guess Marvel approached Xbox and PlayStation. Xbox said no because of
Yeah.
their whole thing about owning their IPs that they, deal with and stuff like that. And then PlayStation said yes. And then Insomniac, who wasn't owned by PlayStation. So this is where I get confused because Insomniac
Well,
was, I thought originally Insomniac said they were approached by Marvel, right?
no, from what I remember, because part of this came out in the court documents. Xbox, I think, was offered Spider-Man first. They turned it down because they didn't have a studio to make it. And I don't think that they were looking to Insomniac to make it for them. I think they were just looking inside their own walls. Like, we
Yeah,
don't
because they
really
had
have a
just
studio to do it.
they're having a fit. They were struggling to make Crackdown,
Yeah.
right? Which was their own IP, and
Yeah.
it had been in development hell for years. Which was, in some ways, a similar game, the open world style game.
Mhm.
They didn't have a developer to make it anymore, right? So,
Yeah. So once they waived that, then I think it went to Sony. Sony knew from, I guess, with Insomniac making Sunset Overdrive, or maybe Insomniac was like, "Hey, that mechanic could probably be used." So when Sony probably approached them, they were like, "Sure, yeah, we can make it." They still weren't owned at that point. I think they saw what the sales were because Spider-Man was like a 20 million plus seller. I think Sony was like, "Yeah, we're going to buy them." Plus, they've been working with them for ages, and I think Microsoft only worked with them for the one game for Sunset. So Sony was like, "So how much to buy the doggy in the window?" And they were like 300 mil, and they're like, "Will you take cash or a check?" So
right.
that was a steal of a deal. I don't know how they pulled that off, and looking back, it's like, man, that's the one that got away from Microsoft in a way. But
Yeah, I wonder if Microsoft looks back at some of these decisions that they made on projects they turned down, and they're like, maybe we shouldn't have, right? And I'm wondering if that's going to change their philosophy because we
Yeah,
already
like the
saw,
Connect.
well, that for sure. But what we've seen now is Xbox revised the Indiana Jones contract with Disney
Yeah.
to include exclusivity when they redid it for Game Pass and all that kind of stuff, right? Because originally that was going to be multi-plat as well. So
Hmm.
obviously Xbox doesn't own the Indiana Jones IP, right? And even if this was a deal that was already in the works because of Bethesda, still revising the contract and having to obviously pay more money for exclusivity may kind of point to a change of thought process there.
Wouldn't it be
Seeing how
funny
Yeah, I
if
think
big
so.
Spider-Man was for it.
Microsoft bought Indiana Jones IP because Disney wants to sell off shit?
That would be crazy, dude. But it did just kind of didn't it tank at the theaters?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I mean, maybe you could get it on the cheap now. Like what are we gonna do with this? Because Harrison Ford ain't gonna be able to make another one,
Yeah.
right? So maybe Disney, if they were to part with things, maybe that's an IP they would be willing to part with. But would that be up to Disney as a whole, or like Lucas would have
Well,
a
they
say in
own
that?
Lucasfilm, so like,
Yeah, I know. It's just strange. Maybe they'd sell off Lucasfilm.
Ooh.
no,
And the double
they would have to keep
fine.
Star
I
Wars.
I know the Star Wars would come with it, which would be crazy, right?
That would be huge. But
Disney paid $4 or $5 billion for that. They ain't selling it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Microsoft would be willing to pay double that easy.
It's probably like Star Wars IP is probably worth like 20 billion at this point. Like,
How much is Disney worth as a whole? Like 170 or something like that?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Um,
I mean, there's only two, maybe, well, yeah, two real companies that are close enough to be able to write a check for that.
None of
And
them would
then
get
there's
that
two
through
other ones that could
regulators.
probably swing it, but they would have to sell some shares or something.
Yeah.
So Microsoft and Apple are the only ones that could probably be like, wait, let me reach in my couch and get you that 100 billion kind of thing. And then Amazon and Google are like, we'll trade you some shares and or we'll sell this and acquire that or partner this and probably be able to swing it as well. So I don't know. There was that rumor before about Xbox with Mike or with Netflix, but Xbox acquiring Disney, that's a whole different ball of wax at that point.
well, I was just saying they get the Indiana Jones IP because they're making the game, so they could own their game now instead of licensing it.
It would be, it would be interesting. I don't see like I wonder when Disney does sell off stuff, if they do end up doing that. Like what that is gonna be. Like what's gonna go. Will it be their gaming divisions, like at Marvel
Mhm.
games and stuff like that potentially?
Oh my God, the amount of times Disney has killed the gaming division and brought it back.
I
Like
know.
either leave it dead or
Well, they
just
don't
stick
have their
with
own
it.
developers anymore, which is
Yeah.
honestly kind of a good thing in my opinion, because like what they've done is open up their IPs and to the highest bidders on different, and they've seeked out developers to make stuff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, the Midnight Suns developer was like they were approached from Marvel because they were fans of XCOM, right? So like that's cool. When you hear stories of like Knights of the Old Republic was pitched to different teams or like different shopped around to different teams who wants to work on it and come up with your vertical slices or now it's we heard about the whole Spider-Man situation, right? Like I'd
Mhm.
like that because we get games now like Star Wars Outlaws from UB Massive, right? But where
Yeah.
beforehand it was just an EA like 10-year deal that we got like
And we got 3 games
three
out of it.
games. You got Jedi Fallen Order, and you got
Yeah.
two Battlefront games.
The Jedi Fallen Order wasn't even that game. That was after. It was Star Wars Battlefront 1, 2, and Jedi and Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was on that initial contract. The Fallen Order was kind of like after the license was being,
Yeah,
shopped
I
out
thought
or
Squadrons
something.
came after Fallen Order.
I don't think
It
so.
did, but it was in development before.
Okay.
Because if I'm not mistaken, Squadrons was originally going to be like DLC or something that they were going to try and charge extra for, and then they were like, "Well, we
Oh, I
can
guess
just
it
make it
did.
its
Yeah,
own game."
came out in 2020. Fallen Order, I guess 2019.
Yeah.
Maybe there's four
Alvin
games under that then.
hit us with a $2 and says that Octopath 2 is definitely coming. Has no Sony deal. Yeah. That's got to come. I'll say from Square's perspective, there's only one fucking game that better not skip Xbox that I care about, and that's Final Fantasy Tactics. It was part of the Nvidia leaks before, like all the other games came true from that for the most part. Final Fantasy Tactics was on that list. We even saw Ogre Tactics come out, which was a PlayStation exclusive, which is bullshit. Um, but Final Fantasy Tactics, when it gets announced, it needs to be announced for everything. That game's too damn important. Um, one of my favorite of all time. And if you're a Tactics fan, it is like the holy grail.
Just go play it on
Tactics
your
game.
PlayStation or your PC.
If it probably would come to PC as well, so I would be good there. But I still want it on an Xbox. In fact, I want it on Game Pass. You want to make a splash, Xbox, with this new Square Enix partnership? Do me a favor. Go out, Phil, and say, hey, you know what? You got this all-time classic called Final Fantasy Tactics, and we want it on Game Pass. That's what you do, Phil. You put your money where your mouth is. You go
And
get a Final Fantasy
they would probably
Tactics
be
on
like,
Game
"Yeah, it's not a
Pass.
mainline Final Fantasy. We don't give a fuck. Here's just give us $100 million."
I think that Square understands that Final Fantasy Tactics is like holds a special value, you know. But like, do new players, do current generation of like the masses understand that?
Well, that's the good thing. You get the spin-off games. Like you get the Final Fantasy VII Rubicon or whatever the fuck it was called, the prequel one. And so you get all the spin-off games, you just don't get the main ones. So you're likely to get it.
I'll settle for Final. I mean, Final Fantasy Tactics is like I wouldn't even relegate it to diminishing it as a spinoff. It is a one of a kind gem that can never be replicated with by another game. Now you can only replicate it by recreating the magic of the original and making it all over again, but just better. Don't change a damn thing, except make it look better. Right? That's what you got to do. Make the same game, make it look better. Okay? Final Fantasy Tactics. Just do it. Game Pass.
Yeah, but it's 2023. We could add so much to it.
Fuck that.
And change so
No.
many things.
Yeah, just make it look better. Add flashy animations with the attacks.
No, we're gonna
and
add new
stuff.
characters, new levels. We're gonna change the entire. We're gonna rebalance everything. So what was broken before, it's not broken anymore. You can't do
There's
that.
nothing broken with that game. Even the broken stuff was special. Right? It's
You want to play as your favorite character? Give us an extra $5.
You trying to start a fight, Jasper?
No, I'm just saying what they would do.
And make it NFTs.
Yeah.
Make Cloud an NFT. Because like Cloud was a secret character in Final Fantasy Tactics. You had to do a bunch of stuff to unlock them. They would probably just make them NFT now.
Pre-order DLC. You got to buy the $70 version though.
Foam Stars content for Final Fantasy Tactics. King Webb says create a new Final Fantasy series. What would that be? Like what kind of Final Fantasy series? You mean like because they already started doing that. They had like the Stranger Paradise game or whatever. Strangers in Paradise that flopped. They've done they even brought back the Crisis Core like remake and shit like that. A lot of these other Final Fantasy projects flop. So I don't know. I feel like it'll be hard. And like the mainline Final Fantasy is like every game's different anyway. So I don't know how you spin it off into another franchise. I don't know. It'd be weird. But 17, whenever that gets announced, probably won't be exclusive. Y'all want to make a bet on that? Y'all with me?
I don't care enough about Final Fantasy to bet on it.
Have you played Final Fantasy before, Fuzz?
Just 15. I've probably
Jesus,
played
guys.
the early ones in the beginning, but it's been so long. Like I really wasn't into the RPGs that are like the Zelda top down view. That just wasn't my thing back in the day.
Wow. God, I wish Pong was here. Psycho. I'm missing the JRPG lovers here on the panel that play these old school JRPGs. But anyway, I know that they'd be excited about this. Besides that, let's see. There's also what I know. I saw some other news today. Kind of going
Saw
through
the
it.
Yuden Chronicles got delayed.
Oh
Speaking
yeah,
of your
Chris Jones is going to be
JRPGs.
excited about that.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I
Mhm.
wanted to talk about Ubisoft.
Mm.
Yeah. So yesterday it had come out, or the other day it come out about Immortals: Phoenix Rising sequel potentially getting canned.
Hmm.
And then VGC had an update to that report today that said pretty much confirming it without confirming that. It said Ubisoft has responded and said it's reallocating some creative teams and resources within the Quebec studio. As part of our global strategy, we are redirecting and reallocating some creative teams and resources within the Quebec studio to other unannounced projects. The expertise and technologies these teams developed will serve as an accelerator for the development of these key projects focused on our biggest brands. We have nothing further to share at this time. Well, I wouldn't consider Immortals Phoenix Rising as one of their biggest brands. I would consider
Mhm.
that Clancyverse, Assassin's Creed,
Mhm.
They pretty
Far
much just
Cry.
said they moved him to one of the 10
Far Cry.
unannounced Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah. Far Cry, Clancy games, and Assassin's Creed. What is there
Mhm.
any other big Ubisoft franchises? I mean, you got like some of the other
Well,
Rabbits.
the
stuff.
the other big
Rabbids.
one, they refused to make a fourth one, which would be Watch Dogs. But that one's kind of tailored or waned off a good bit
Yeah,
after
Watch
three.
Dogs. Then you have the like there's the Crew, Motorfest. You know, I wouldn't say that's a huge brand, but
No.
then they're trying to do the Riders Republic thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like they had a winner.
Yeah, I mean, it was critically acclaimed. I don't think it maybe reached the sales numbers that they had hoped. I guess they were hoping for like Assassin's Creed numbers, but part of it was the name change. Like everybody
Hmm.
was wanted the was it Gods and Monsters or something like that,
Yeah.
and Monster Energy drinks sued them. Like,
And they had to change the name like 3 months before launch or some shit like that.
yeah.
It's like,
So I think that didn't help matters. I don't know. There should have been a way they could have worked with Monster and be like, "Hey, we'll put your soft drink in the next Watch Dogs or something." I just that was a silly lawsuit for Monster. I like not that. Well, I stopped drinking Monster at that point, but that would be a reason. Like, hey, yeah, I if they're going to go sue Happy on a video game and they're a drink or a soft drink beverage company or whatever, it's like it nobody's going to mistake Gods and Monsters for Monster Energy. Like
Yeah.
nobody.
You know you're about to have a bunch of companies fight over the letter X right now.
Oh God.
Because I
Like
think
I was
everybody owns a
joking with a few
trademark for
people
one
about
thing
this.
or
Like
another.
I almost like maybe Elon changed it to that to see if somebody would sue him on it.
he owns the
Like,
domain X. Like that's how he got started, like during the .com days or whatever. Like he made
mhm.
PayPal and it was originally called X.com.
Mm.
And then he switched to PayPal and sold off PayPal.
I'm just wondering if he really doesn't want Twitter and he figures, well, maybe if somebody sues him, they'll sue him, they can take Twitter and he can write it off on his taxes or something stupid. Because he really does. I think he realized he messed up when he bought this because
Well, he didn't
they
want to
sued
buy it
him
because they
to.
lied to him.
Well,
He tried to
yeah,
back out of the deal, and Twitter was like, "No, you're still buying this shit, even though we lied to you."
yeah, because you didn't say that we couldn't lie to you about the deal.
Because like Twitter said that they had like whatever, like 40 million like real users, and it turned out it was like only 20 or
Half
whatever.
bots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
half of it was bots. And he's like, "I don't want this shit anymore."
Yeah, I think he was
Well,
probably just trying to renegotiate
yeah.
more than anything. But it's it's interesting anyway. I think Ubisoft is missing the mark there. You know, playing dumb old Ubisoft as usual. Like we talked about Square before, making dumb decisions, and I'm not saying that it was going to be the biggest money maker, but like you can't just do all the same thing, right? Like, and it seems like they keep funneling all of their developers into the same IPs and trying to make them all big live service games, to make them all super billion-dollar franchises and all this kind of stuff. And yet they fail to release games in those franchises because they keep tinkering around with shit so much.
When was
Um,
the last game what was the last game they released? Was it that civilian city thing or whatever, or something else?
Anno 1800 came out. They have
There was that Settlers game. I think that's the one you're talking about,
Settlers.
but
Yeah, that
Yeah.
game like is reviewed
that was
horribly.
garbage anyway.
Let's see. They have
Prior to that, was it
Riders
Rainbow
Republic.
Six?
Riders Republic was the last one before that.
Yeah, that was like October last year, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
before that was Rainbow Six Extraction. But they have Crew Motorfest coming is the next one, and I did play the
Or I think Far Cry 6 was after Riders
and Far
Republic,
Cry
wasn't
6. Yeah,
it? Yeah.
Far Cry 6 was good. I have no
Mhm.
issues with Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
Well, everybody else had issues with it because it was Far Cry. Like I don't
It's more Far
understand.
Cry.
Oh my God, Far Cry is a Far Cry game? What are you fucking kidding? Wow. Oh no. Let's change things up. I don't know. I don't understand the weird choosy backlash at things.
I
That's
want
what I
my Far
want them
Cry
to
to be
do.
like Mario Kart.
Yeah, like I wish
Oh
that
yeah, this Mario game. That was, I think, their last big release actually.
I
The
wish
Mario
there was a
Rabbids.
Splinter Cell game
Mario.
that was Splinter Cell. I wish that there was a Rainbow Six game that was more Rainbow Six. I wish there was a Ghost Recon game that was Ghost Recon. Instead, we don't get any of them, and then we complain about a Far Cry game that's Far Cry. Like, oh, so what are we gonna do? Tinker around with it and turn it into one of the other fucking things that they're trying to do?
Well,
Fuck
that's what they
no.
did with Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon.
I know, and I don't want that. I want them to be what they are supposed to be, like, which is like hardcore kind of uh tactical shooter games, right? Like that was filling a niche. That was filling a void in the market. Like those were the franchises that did that.
But if you can redo it and make it more popular and sell more, then why wouldn't you?
Well, because what happens is they don't
They
actually
did with
do a
Rainbow
good.
Six.
Well, yeah, but now we're on 8 seasons of the same game.
That's making them a shit ton of money. They love it.
Yeah, I think it's died off quite a bit. I don't know. I mean, it's still making them money, but like not like a new game would. Like if a new big Rainbow Six game came out that was good, it would fucking go crazy. Like in the vein of like a Rainbow Six Vegas or like a Rainbow Six like 3
That's the
Black Arrow.
thing. It's
Like,
got to be good, and I don't trust Ubisoft to make it good. So then it's just everyone's going to go back to
but
the old one.
Ubisoft. The thing is that Ubisoft has a lot of talent, and even these other games that they keep experimenting with are actually pretty good. Like Crew Motorfest, it's a Horizon knockoff, like
Mhm.
completely. Like I don't, I got to play the beta, right? I'm allowed to talk about it because they said you could even stream it. I decided not to stream it or whatever, but like it is, they've changed the crew from what it was to blatantly just making a game replace the word Horizon with Motorfest. I mean, the starting sequence is like exactly the same. You arrive at the festival in exactly the same way. You're being talked to from the narrator in the exact same way. You arrive, there's a person to greet you and say, "Welcome to the festival." Like everything here is based on the festival. The environment even feels like a Forza Horizon game. Everything about it feels like a Forza Horizon game. It's more arcadey than a Forza Horizon, so it's going to have its own style within the driving mechanics and stuff like that. But the whole concept and like building of what the game structure is Forza Horizon, right? And what they've done is said, okay, Forza Horizon's only at Xbox, right, and PC, so we're going to make something that's multi-plat that maybe PlayStation fans will like, and it's just a blatant knockoff. It's like we're gonna make a copycat, but make it slightly worse.
We have Horizon at home.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. Like, so you could
They
have
got X
gone.
Defiant coming out.
We have Call of Duty at home.
Let's make a Call of Duty knockoff. Let's make a Horizon knockoff, right? Let's do
Mm,
this. Let's do that. It just
mm.
it's just weird, man. Like they had such original great games and franchises that they've abandoned. And then yet the one that they kept going and maintained the same is when people had issues with, which was Far Cry 6,
Yeah.
which was frustrating as hell to me. That game, is a little too big, I think. And if I give any
Yeah.
feedback, it's a little too big in scope. You just kind of scale it down just a little bit, right? But other than that, like it was a fantastic Far Cry game.
What was it,
And
like 60 hours to complete instead of 40
yeah, but
kind of
there's so
thing?
much to do, man. It's like crazy. The
Yeah.
map is like overwhelming with stuff to do. Um, and it's just weird. Like I don't get what people want sometimes, you know. Um, and
I
I don't
just
think.
want them I just want them to copy like Ready or Not and take some of the maps and things and incorporate that into, Rainbow Six. I want them
I
to
think that
copy
yeah, that's
things like
hard
in
though, because Ready or Not got a lot of flack for how they portrayed like
the
current
schools
violence
and stuff.
within
Yeah.
the culture now. So it's like,
I mean, Ubisoft used to be okay with controversy. Controversy sells. I mean, yeah, it may give you a
that's why I
bad
bought it,
rep
because
in
they were
the
trying to cancel
press.
that game, and I'm like, I'm going to buy it. So
Yeah. And it's the same thing with like 6 Days in Fallujah. Like that's a game, the concept they should probably copy or make into like a squad based tactical shooter where it's just you versus bots. Or you can do, team versus team, but make it where it's like slow paced stuff. Like the fast paced stuff, yeah, they could try that with XDefiant, but go with the slower paced stuff that's more tactical, or at least give you the simulation of it without going full mil sim. I think that would be a nice niche for them, especially under the Tom Clancy brand. I don't know
yeah, I think
why they
that's
won't
hard
do
though,
it.
because like a lot of the tactical stuff, it doesn't. I mean, Tarkov kind of took off, but
Yeah.
still, like a lot of it's not as flashy. Like when you watch clips, like a lot of kids like to watch the crackheads do like 360s off skyscrapers and try to hit someone.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what like goes viral and stuff like that. It's not
Yeah.
just like peek in a corner slowly. So it's like,
Yeah. Well, maybe they could push the visuals and do like that was it unrecord where it's like a body cam view and almost looks like reality kind of thing. That would be their probably their best step forward or best move forward kind of thing.
Make a
I mean,
badass
Division looks
tactical
great.
shooter.
They've upped the graphics on that. Same thing with Ghost Recon Wildlands. Didn't really like the way they did was it Point Break or Breakpoint or whatever. Um, I don't know. It just feels like they have all the tools to use and they're letting them stay in the box in the basement kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like it's just
See, the
I don't know.
original Rainbow games had that like amazing feeling of like a simulation shooter almost, of
Mm-hmm.
like a breach and clear type SWAT team. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's what it was. And then Rainbow Six Vegas kind of expanded upon that and became a little bit um, more open with the multiplayer concepts and stuff, and really expanded upon that. But it had a really good campaign story as well, and you had your squad mates you're controlling, and then Ghost Recon Advanced Warfare as well. Did a lot of the same stuff, and those two games were like, because those can I think I know Ghost Recon did. I'm not sure about Rainbow Six Vegas, but I remember Ghost Recon Advanced Warfare came out before Halo 3 did on the 360,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the first like big multiplayer shooter on the 360. Right? Everybody was fucking playing Graw. It was massive. And they had Graw 2, and they had Rainbow Six Vegas 2. Then you had your Splinter Cell Double Agent, which didn't do as well for them as they wanted, but then they took a long time, and then they eventually came out with Conviction, which was kind of a reboot for Splinter Cell, and that invigorated a lot of people into it. For me, the multiplayer took a step back, but the single player was excellent, right? Then they had a Blacklist, and then they decided,
we had
hey,
Tom Clancy's Hawks and End War.
yeah, all these different stuff, man. And the Clancy brand was in a really good place. They were still a little shaky with where they were going with Splinter Cell as a whole, because they kept trying to fit it into other things instead of just be what it was before, which was a graphic basically dominating franchise that was like one of the best looking games out there. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory on the original Xbox, that was probably the best graphical showpiece from that original console generation, as far as like not a racing type game, right? And then you had a deviation from that into like, okay, we need more fast pace and all this kind of stuff. So they kind of lost their way with Splinter Cell, and I feel like that's one of the reasons we hadn't gotten one in a long time. But
I think Ubisoft just lost their way in general.
across the board, because they all want to make games just based on like monetization schemes instead of thinking about what is the passion behind the developers of what they want to make, right? And I hope that they learn from the Bandai Namcos and the Capcoms, and they see what they've done with these big franchises. And it's amazing that all these Resident Evil games sell so well and make so much money for Capcom when they're just single player story based games, right? Like, then you have Bandai Namco, Elden Ring, pretty much changed the company now, right? Like, it just made them so much fucking money, and that was a single player great game. You know what I mean? You don't have to have crazy monetization schemes and all these kind of things in every single game in order to be successful. And Immortals Phoenix Rising was one of those games that didn't have a lot of that, and now it's canceled to fund the big name projects, the big name IPs. I can only hope that those projects are some Clancy games or like another Far Cry or
It's Assassin's Creed.
probably Assassin's Creed, because there's like 12 Assassin's Creed games in the works. It's just like they're becoming kind of like a one franchise dominated publisher, you know?
They're becoming what Activision was.
Yeah, and we all want, that's what all of our best hope now for Activision is that Microsoft will free them up from that, right? We'll see if it happens, but anyway, I don't think moving on from one of your lone successful new franchises that you've created in the last decade is a great move. Pong says everyone knows Splinter Cell is already in development, right? Right? Yeah, there's a Splinter Cell remake in development, and I can only hope that maybe some of those resources went there, and they're
Well, they said unannounced projects though, didn't they?
yes, they said unannounced.
Yeah.
But they announced it in a blog post, so it's really weird. It's like nobody knows, about it.
I'm not going to believe Splinter Cell until I see something. Like it's almost like the way Star Wars was, and what is it? I keep on wanting to say Pandora. What was the other
Avatar.
one? Avatar. Like until we see the game, like even when we see the game, because look at Beyond Good and Evil 2. I want to believe, but I've learned that Ubisoft seems to continuously step on rakes when it comes to a game that should be a solid hit or an easy hit for them, and they stumble, and just before it's about to come out, it gets skull and bones. It's like like, oh, it's coming out in October. Oh, well, we meant February of next year. Oh no, wait, make that November of that coming year. And it's like, what?
That has to be the most delayed game ever.
Yeah, like at this point, either excuse my language, but shit, or get off the pot. Like either release the game or just cancel it. Like one or the other. Like constantly going back and reworking like 2 days before it's supposed to launch. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So in other news, there was recent new gameplay from again another single player oriented game that looks like it's going to sell like crazy, and that's Armored Core 6, because it's starting to generate a lot of hype from people that weren't really looking forward to it after the newest gameplay was just revealed. I think you even did you. I think you said you may be actually interested in this now, Jasper.
I didn't say that at all.
No, who was it? Somebody was like, "Oh, you're gonna make me get this game," in the DMs.
I mean, I'm tempted, but I'm hoping, like what Pong was saying before, and even Steel, like maybe Game Pass, like
It was
please.
Bob.
Like,
Bob said it. He said, I didn't want to have to buy this, but it may be day one.
I was looking at the videos today, and I'm like, no, the camera angle, I hate it. I hate the camera in that game.
So I watched like the long gameplay segment
Mhm.
in the other room today. Finally, it's like the big drawn out gameplay. I don't know, man. Like I kind of wasn't as excited because I like more of the slow mech games, like the slow hulking mechs, right? Like a Chrome Hounds style. Um, but after watching this gameplay, I haven't played a game like this in a long time. It looks pretty fucking sick. It looks
Mhm.
super smooth. I'm starting to get sold. It's the only thing is it's like a week before Starfield. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, I don't think you're
Uh,
going to get enough game
There was
time
some
out of it the week
there was
before.
some leaked PvP stuff that came out, I think yesterday or something, from some like Japanese guy like got to record it early, and he leaked PvP content. And I just watched like two dudes fly around in circles for like 10 minutes trying to hit each other, and they couldn't do it because they kept dodging. I'm like, this would drive me insane.
That's that looks good.
So
That reminds me of like there was a arcade game at the arcades that was a lot like that where you had two mechs. I can't remember the name of it, but you basically controlled a mech and you're just sliding back and forth and stuff trying to kill the other mech.
it's the
And
same reason I don't like Fortnite building. As soon as you get one of those crackhead builders that just like builds a tower in 5 seconds, I'm like, I'm not even going to fight that. I just don't care. I give up.
right. Um I don't know. I'm thinking I'm gonna get it. So I might be joining, the party for Armored Core, but it's just bad timing because guys, it's in a few days, in a few days time, we'll be able to say that Starfield comes out next month. This is this is a big game for Xbox. I mean, probably the biggest game they've had, obviously since Halo Infinite's launch, but even longer. Toss it up. Come on.
And the stream's dead.
Fail. Sorry. She need me to open this for her. All right.
Now toss it.
Nope.
Here we go. All right.
This is
Sorry,
how to
everybody.
open orange
We're
juice
live
live.
on a podcast. Hey. There you go. All right. I can't believe I didn't catch it, man. Embarrassing. Anyway, so what are we at? What are we talking about?
Armor Core.
Oh yeah, Armor Core. Yeah. No, we're talking about Starfield.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
almost a month away,
Yeah.
or just over a month away.
Is y'all's like I gotta be honest, like I'm in this like gaming rut right now, kind of, because I just want to play Starfield.
Yeah.
I get like this, and I've starting to think about it more and more and more, dude. Like I can't wait for fucking Starfield. This is probably the biggest game for Xbox since, as far as launches go, for what was important to them since Halo Infinite, obviously. Like, but I think this has a chance to make a bigger impact. Um, Starfield, your most anticipated game this generation.
Well, that's kind of hard to answer because you don't know what's going to come out in
Well,
7 years.
did you see anything else coming out, Jasper, that could top your hype for Starfield this gen?
I know for me, Forza is about the only other one,
Yeah,
but it's
you're a racing
it's a different
fanatic,
type
though.
of hype.
Yeah,
Like,
GTA 6 could do it.
GTA
I mean,
6.
yeah.
But what about GTA? The story?
I mean, just GTA in general. Like,
I don't know. The GTA 5 story just didn't do it for me.
yeah, I heard you talking about that the other night. You said you like GTA 4, and I just couldn't get into GTA 4 story. And
GTA
like,
4
but
was
5 I could.
great. Like I don't know. It would depend on what the story's like and what it's about. I mean, it's going to be insanely hyped. It's going to be like the biggest selling
yeah.
game ever when it comes out.
GTA 4 was good. I just hated the annoying calls with your cousin going bowling and stuff like that. Like that they could have done without
I
that. If
think
there was a
with
way to silence
GTA
it.
6, though, like the big leap for that game is going to be it's online. Like, what do
Yeah.
they do with that makes it like a true like next GTA experience. If they try to take some of that role playing stuff that all the Twitch streamers have been doing the last like 10 years, like if they can incorporate that into the game, GTA 6 could be like the biggest game on the planet.
Well, they'll incorporate some of that stuff and wait for it, NFTs.
Yeah, I
Watch
mean, you
it.
got to
Yeah.
buy your NFT house in that game.
That's my biggest fear with the online is that they're going to be the first publisher to be able to sneak in NFTs in the game and people actually eat it up. No more protesting, no more throwing chairs or getting on soapboxes on Twitter or X or whatever. It'll be like, oh, this NFT house and this NFT car. I mean, you kind of see a little bit of it with the cars now with the subscriber thing, where they show the cars, they're available for a week, and then you can only get them if you're subscribed to the monthly GTA Online thing, but or the VIP thing monthly. But yeah, they're going to bring in NFTs, and that's just going to ruin things, and people are going to still buy $100 shark cards or whatever they decide to call this one. It'll probably be alligator cards because it's Miami, and yeah, yeah, it'll be a fun game, but man, I'm not looking forward to NFTs in gaming.
Yeah.
Like the first successful NFTs in gaming. Let's put it that way.
There's a couple games out there trying to push it right now that are about to come out. There's only a couple games I can think of that I could potentially be more hyped for than Starfield this generation. One would be if Elder Scrolls 6 actually comes out this generation.
I think, yeah, they'd probably be like right at the tail end, like just squeeze in there at the end.
Another one would be if the Red Dead Redemption 3 gets announced and it comes out this generation.
You're funny.
I mean, yeah. And then the other one, it would be depending on what the Splinter Cell game looks like and if it actually ever comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like this entire generation that I can think of that I can foresee happening potentially. Me getting more excited than Starfield.
There is potential for all three of those to happen. Although the Red Dead is probably the least likely, unfortunately.
Yeah, you still got another 15 years for you to get that. So
Fable will kind of be close. I'm really excited for Fable.
I'm more excited for Fable after seeing it compared to what I thought it would be like, more of the caricature stuff. So
yeah. I see Alvin say Killer Instinct and Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark could be, depending on what they do with it.
I don't know if it would come out, but like if Destiny 3, like if it does come out, it'd be right at the end with it like Elder Scrolls, but that could be really big.
Yeah.
Destiny 3. I mean, do you think we're gonna get like Elder Scrolls 6 is already technically announced, so I think if it's either gonna come out at the tail end of this generation, 2 or 3 years after Starfield, right? Maybe 4. After that, maybe what was the other one I said?
Red
Dead Redemption 3.
Red Dead.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, there's hope for me because of the rumored Red Dead Redemption remaster.
You'll get a Red Dead 2 remaster at the end of this generation.
60 frames, finally.
How long will it be before Red Dead 3 comes out?
About 5 years into the next Xbox.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Like, so what are you talking about? 2032?
I'm gonna go out on a bigger limb. I'm gonna say it doesn't happen unless they convince what was that one brother, the brothers that used to work over at
Hauser's?
Yeah. Until Dan Hauser comes back to Rockstar, ain't happening.
Yeah. Pong in the chat says Cyberpunk 2 would be
close. Yeah,
if
they could do that. They were originally supposed to have a multiplayer game come out in Cyberpunk. Like, if they could do that still, like, that would be awesome. But
what about a Witcher 4?
I don't care about Witcher.
Okay.
I would take a Cyberpunk 2 over a Witcher 4, but Witcher 4 would be interesting.
I mean, I think they're going to return to Witcher. at
Yeah,
some
yeah,
point.
they
Like,
definitely are.
I think that I would, if I was to put money on it, I would say that's probably their next game after Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
That way they become one of those two franchise studios, and they flip between Witcher and then Cyberpunk, right?
Hmm.
They
Yeah,
did
they
some
already announced they're
layoffs.
working on a new Witcher. So
Was that?
I said they already announced they're working on a new Witcher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So I don't see like a Cyberpunk 2 coming out before that. They did do some
Yeah.
layoffs though.
Yeah.
Some people are speculating maybe that's to get ready for an acquisition.
No, I mean, it's possible, but I think they would probably do layoffs even if there wasn't an acquisition possible. Like a lot of these companies do that at their end of their fiscal year to kind of,
they're also about to launch the next Cyberpunk thing. So the project's coming to the end. So it's like
yeah.
I
So
still need to play that.
it's just like the normal cycle, unfortunately.
When does the new expansion come out? Doesn't it come out like
like
the same day as
20
Starfield?
days after
20
Starfield,
days
like
after Starfield?
September 20th or 26th,
And it's
something like
like
that, I
changing
think.
the whole core game also,
Yeah.
right? So like I want to dive back into that, but I don't want to until that comes out. That's the one problem I have with some of these fucking games is like they keep giving me a reason not to dive back in because they keep improving it so much that like at some point I don't want to play it now because I know it's going to change, right? So why would I want to play it now when I know it's getting better?
Just
Um,
play it after you get tired of Starfield next year.
Yeah, and like Baldur's Gate 3, we did get it, and I've been playing some of the preview stuff, but then we learned that your save doesn't carry over, and so much is changing anyway. So it's like,
Mm,
why keep playing it now, right?
yeah.
So just waiting on the official launch for that, which is very soon.
Was
So
like the first of this month or something like that.
yeah, it's like next week or something
Or
like
yeah,
that. I
next
think.
month.
Like, I forget when does Baldur's Gate 3 come out? Is it the August the 6th, maybe?
Something like that. I
Chat.
know it's the first like week or so.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Now, originally it was supposed to come out on PlayStation day and date, but they still haven't announced the official date yet for PlayStation's release. I don't think. So I guess they weren't quite as ready to make that concrete. Like they made a huge deal. I'd be interested to know if they could turn back time, if they would have just taken that whole announcement back because it created the whole Xbox backlash scenario, PlayStation like fanboy thing running with it's exclusive now and all this kind of stuff. And then they said they had announced that because they were excited that it was going to be there at launch. Then later they retracted that, so it made that whole situation they created to begin with like pointless.
Yeah.
Um,
August
the
3rd.
third Pong, so that's interesting. Oh yeah, they did announce the PlayStation. It's the same day as Starfield, September 6th. Right.
Yeah, that's because all those PlayStation people were fighting over. It's like Baldur's Gate 3 is better than Starfield or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. September 6th, the same day as Starfield, for Baldur's Gate 3 on PlayStation
Mm.
instead of day and date, but it is what it is.
Anybody looking to forward to Path of Exiles 2?
I watched the trailer today. That shit looks pretty good compared to what we're getting with Diablo.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard. Like, when does that come out?
I have no idea, but the trailer looked amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the original trailer. I forget where we saw it at. I think it was at Summer Game
I think it
Fest
was
or
at the
something.
the Keeley show.
Yeah, it was
It-
fucking
Yeah.
great, man. It looked so good. It's a free to play game though, so it's like I'm wondering how much money you got to invest to really take advantage of it. If you got to keep getting the battle passes and stuff like that, like how do you with the existing Path of Exile? How do you get the most of it? Like because I imagine it's kind of
I
pay to
if I'm
win
not
somewhat.
mistaken, like if you were to compare it to Diablo, you don't really need to worry about any of the seasonal stuff until you make level 70. Like I think
yeah, just
that's where their hardcore stuff starts coming up. Like you can I think you can progress parts of your build, but you're almost like where Destiny locks you at a certain um, like gear rating until the next season type of thing, and then you have limited ways of getting to the next tier. I think it's more like Destiny as far as the progression at that point.
yeah. The
Once
problem
you
with
make it to
Pax of
70.
Exile is it takes 1,000 hours to get to where you want to be, whereas Diablo is like 100 hours.
Yeah.
Sounds
Right.
like.
I don't know, man. I love these kind of games, dude. Like I'm still sucked into Diablo, and if Path of Exile is really that good, then it might be something that I get sucked into. You know,
I think you'll be out of your ARPG mood by then.
why?
I
Just too
don't know. I
much
just
Diablo.
you've been playing so much Diablo that you got to be like getting to a point where you're like, do I want to play Diablo tonight? Nah, I'll just go watch a
I
movie.
was like that yesterday, and I was like, man, I don't know what I want to play right now. I was like, I didn't feel like playing Remnant because I didn't feel like getting my ass kicked. And then I was like, well, what else is there? I was kind of like, I don't know what I want to play. And I was like, I'm just going to play Diablo. And I started playing Diablo and I got like so sucked into it. Like 4 hours later, I looked down at the clock. I was like, holy shit, it's like 2 a.m. And Kate's like, are you ever going to be done playing games upstairs? And I'm like, I'm almost finished with my dungeon. Like, and then I today thinking like all I want to do is play Diablo again, right? Because I was having so much fun yesterday. So I don't know, man. Like something about it, like is just resonates with like those kind of games, like kind of really resonate with me. I loved them on console in the 360 era. I've been playing on my PC now too. So maybe Path of Exile would do it. I've actually been considering buying other ones to go back that I missed out on. But the only reason I'm not is because that would take away from me playing Diablo, and I feel
I
like
was when we had the Diablo beta, I thought about doing that on PC as well. I was like, I should go buy another one that's kind of like this.
I want to
But
play
I never
Grim
did.
Dawn. That's the one that's jumping out at me that like I missed out on. That I see it's got a lot of content and a lot of shit out there and stuff, and that looks really cool. But when I'm playing it, well, I'd be like, Diablo's newer and better, so I would just rather be playing Diablo. You know? I don't
There
know.
was one that started with an E, I think, on PC. I forgot what it's, I just know I remember the game started with an E. I think you like fight dinosaurs or something like that instead of like
Hmm.
demons. But
A dinosaur ARPG. Um,
I don't know.
did either of y'all play
let's
Sacred 2 on 360?
No.
no.
That's a franchise I wish would come back. They like ruined it with some Xbox Live Arcade game bullshit, and Sacred 3 sucked ass. So, yeah, they could bring back Sacred. That'd be great. They also had Dungeon Siege. Y'all remember that? That was great. Anyway, there's so many different badass games they could make that they don't. But yeah, I don't know, man. Path of Exile. I may give it a go. We'll see. I did put out on Twitter that I want them to make like either a Marvel or I said specifically an X-Men Diablo style game.
Hmm. That would
And
be interesting.
and people told me that I missed out that there was one last generation. It was like called Marvel.
Oh, that was
Uh,
the MMO. It was Marvel's Omega or
yeah,
something like that.
Omega something,
Yeah.
and that they shut it. It doesn't Disney shut it down?
Yeah. They shut it down. Like it came to Xbox and it was on Xbox for like a year and Disney ended the service.
Was that like a looter like Diablo or like
Yeah, I mean, it was like kind of it was also like kind of like DC universe but like Marvel, so stuff like that. You would run through some dungeons, but it was an MMO more than I would say Diablo. But
okay?
Hmm.
People were saying, "Oh, Marvel Ultimate Alliance is like that," and I'm like, it's not really. Like I have Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. It's not really like a Diablo game. You know. Then people pointed that there was an X-Men Legends game in the past that was kind of like that. That had color coded loot and stuff. But I still don't think it's like anything like Diablo. Like I really want like this big open world style with all these dungeons, and you go in as like a mutant, and like your powers and stuff. You can kind of create your own, and that'd be badass, dude. Maybe a DC would be cool too. Either or. But anyway, all right, we're rambling now. So, all right, everybody. Well, we're gonna probably call it a shorter show tonight because there's not a whole lot of news, but we are excited. At least I am slightly about Final Fantasy XIV Online. I'm excited for what it means for Xbox and the future of the partnership with Square and stuff like that. So I'm thinking it's good things on the horizon, And if you are a JRPG fan, or if you just like games coming to Xbox, you may be getting more than you would have gotten previously with today's news. So that's pretty awesome. But let's get everybody out of here. And thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode 149. Fuzzy, I would tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Oh, just awesome being here with you guys and chatting about the news and stuff like that, and speculating on Xbox next move. But man, oh man, looking forward to Monday FSP with you guys as well, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel. So hopefully, see everybody in the chat there as well. For those that just want to hear my endless rambles and rants on anything gaming related, follow me on the social media platform called X, or formerly known as Twitter, YouTube, and pretty much all other social media. But man, always awesome being here with you guys.
Appreciate you being here, Fuzz. Jasper, can everybody find you, sir?
Yo, check it out. Monday, Friday, 10. Wait, well, why am I doing that? I need to do my intro first. Lord Jasper Twitter, or Master Jasper YouTube, all that fun stuff. AI Game News Twitter, check all that stuff out. And then it's Monday, Friday, Xbox Ultimate and FSP, 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Fun Speculation Network. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Right on, man. Definitely different. Xbox Ultimate, this is the smallest panel we've had on Xbox Ultimate, like
since your first month,
episode 17 or 18 probably. I think when me and Kate had 3-bit on for the first time, that was probably the last time we've had a 3-person panel.
You keep Xbox adding more people to the family and they just keep never showing up.
people got, that's one thing, when we did we had different things going on for a long time, but one thing is hey, we have it, and whoever can be here, and it's just a good time regardless. You guys are awesome, so thanks for being here, Jasper and Fuzzy. Chat, you guys rock as well, and I will do my damnedest to get my mic situation taken care of. Honestly, I'm at a loss right now to know what's going on, because it doesn't say I'm clipping, yet I'm clipping, so I gotta figure out.
It hasn't done it in a minute, so
it hasn't. I got to figure out why. I've been kind of talking lower on purpose, to try and keep it from happening, but we'll figure it out. I'll mess with it over the next couple days. We won't have another show again until Monday on Fun Speculation Podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and then we'll be back Thursday with PM in the PM with Pong Soul and I at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then Friday nights, as always, back here, Xbox Ultimate Podcast, and we should have a larger panel back for next week, and hopefully some more awesome news. So hope you all have a good one. Take it easy and have a fantastic night. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.